Good morning and welcome everyone to the Ultimate Trading Webinar for Beginners. My name is Danny and I will give you the webinar today. And we will open the webinar, as I said, with an introduction to the company. As many of you know, we're here almost 2 decades, since 2006. We are a regulated company. In case you got a question or a query, you can find our customer service right here at the bottom left. Of course, if you're using a different interface, you're not going to see this button, and you can directly contact customer service by cs@avatrade.com. Besides that, if you got a question regarding trading, so a senior account manager is very handy person who is capable of taking to give you answers for all your trading questions. So we've got customer service for customer service and senior account manager that can assist you with strategy, risk money management, all kind of analysis questions, all kind of questions under the trading umbrella. The senior account manager is the go-to person. All right. We're going to write down the other platforms that we have, even though we're going to continue with the web trader. Just a second. Excellent, excellent. I see that people replied that the sound is appropriate, and I'm very happy about it. So like I said, we're going to write down the rest of the platforms that we have, even though we're going to continue with what we're looking at now, which, as I have explained, is called the web trader. Besides that, we have the MT4 and MT5. We have Ava Futures, Ava Social, and Ava Options. Okay, and the web trader, which is also known as the AvaTrades trading app. Excellent, and we will have the webinar using exactly that. I do want to say a few words about Ava Social. Okay, so with Ava Social, what you can do is you can follow or copy another trader. Now, how is this useful? Since there is a question here from Saruba, how can I increase the resolution of the webinar? I wish I knew. Honestly, I have no idea which maybe check the settings on your screen or a computer. All right. So as I was saying, Ava Social is a unique platforms that we have. What it allows you to do is to follow or copy another trader. How is this useful? Let's suppose that we're trader A and we would like to follow trader B. What this gives us is the ability to gain messages, notifications with what trader B has done. And because we're not always equipped with the strategy and the specific agenda of what we want to do or even what we want to trade, we're not always too certain about that. So we can follow another trader, which can inspire us what to do and really gives us the inputs that we need. There is a question here. Is it possible to change the color of the background from black to white? I'm not sure, Rami. This is an excellent question. Thank you. But this is something that I'm unsure about. I'm not familiar with changing the color of the layout here, unfortunately. But again, you can check the settings on your screen. Maybe with the brightness, you can play and make it a little easier for your eyes. As I was explaining, trader A, let's suppose that this is us, and we would like to follow trader B. What will happen is we will get messages with the position that trader B has taken, and we can similarly open the same positions if we want, modify, or just use it for maybe research purposes. The other function is copy. What copy does is different. That means that we're going to automatically copy the strategy from trader B, giving us the ability to automated trading. Of course, we can go back to the history and then we can see which positions were taken on the account, but we don't have to open the positions by ourselves. Okay, so there is a difference between copy and follow. I want you guys to understand that. Follow is not copy trading, and copy is copy trading. Actively automatic opening positions. In both cases, again, we can review the history and see exactly what we did and how. Furthermore, when I'm copying, I also have the ability to determine which lot size my account is going to use. So, for instance, if I'm copying another trader that has 100,000 or 20,000 even, it's natural that my account might not be able to comply to the same margin that the bigger account is using, because I just practically don't have the same capital. There is a question here from Bishun on the store on your device. Okay, for everyone who's looking for that, I've replied to your question on the store on your device. I don't know which device you're using, but the app is there. And if you need assistance with how to download the app, you can just go to our website, and under the tab Trading Platform, there is a specific tutorial so explains how to download AvaSocial, and it's very nice. Now, as I was explaining, I can modify the lot size, which gives me the ability to follow a bigger account with my account and still enjoy the same strategy. Okay, if there are any more questions about AvaSocial, please fire away because I want to carry on. There is a question from Maru. How can I get a demo account as a beginner? Contact your account manager for help. Okay, Maru, I've replied for you to contact your account manager for help, because I'm not gonna show you now how to create a demo account, but it's very can be done very easily in your personal area. Name of the app is AvaSocial. AvaSocial, guys, if there are any more questions, fire away. I'm gonna start explaining about the menus to the left so we can quickly get into the second segment with the practical part. Okay, so we're gonna begin from the menus here going down. So in here, we can find our personal information. In here, trade is where we are at right now. Positions is, well, if we had any positions. There is another question, how much minimum deposit to start trading? I believe that it's 100, but I'm not exactly sure. Again, I believe that it's 100. I believe that it's 100. I'm not really sure about your account type, but I believe that it's 100. Try make a deposit, and again, you can get more assistance from your senior account manager. Now, if we keep going down, we have orders. We don't have any orders at the moment. History, again, we can filter from what date to what date very easily like this. We can go back, click on something, and it will, if we go back to trade, it will throw us back to here. Okay, underneath we've got signals. In signals, we've got signals. The way that I'm extending and minimizing the screen can be a bit confusing since I'm doing it swiftly, but I'm going to show you again. This is the screen by default with the chart all the way up or folded like this. In both cases, you can choose whether to extend by clicking on the two arrows to make it go all the way to the top, or minimize it like this. In the signal section, as you saw, if the chart is extended, I'm not going to be able to see the lists with the signals. Therefore, I must click on the two arrows to fold it down, and then I can enjoy the various signals that we have. It's also important to understand that the right column represents the production time. That means that this is where, when the signal was produced, the newest, this is the newest, and if we go down, it gets older and older. We can see here entry price, take profit, stop loss. We still don't know exactly what they are, but we'll speak about them right now. We also have the buy, if the type, if it's buy or sell, and we've got the signal. So let's select the first one, Brent oil. We click on view signal. Excellent. We've got some analysis that was done here. We're going to extend the chart to see it a bit better. Then we're going to see that the validity of the chart is daily. That, in short, means that each candle on the chart represents 1 day of represent 1 day time frame. If we look at here at the top and we're looking at the icons we have here to the left, at the most extreme left corner, we've got 1M. We're going to click on that, then we'll see that it folds down, and we can select, we're going to scroll down like this, or we can click here on the thin toggle and drag it up or down. It doesn't let us do this. There we go. You see, and then we can select 1D to match the validity to the chart that we're seeing. Now we can construct the same levels and further enhance the analysis that was done here. To be honest with you guys, I don't have to do any of that. So we're going to demonstrate how to use the signal just straight away. And then again, we're going to elaborate what was done. So we're going to click on view signal, and then we're going to extend, and then we're going to click on buy like this, click buy. And we are ready to go, guys. We are ready to go to launch the signal. Okay, but let's understand what's happening here. So we understand that we are in a buy type. Click on view signal, extend the chart, match the value. Oh, we're already there. Excellent. And now we see that there are a couple of things here: resistance and support and signal last. Okay, no problem. But still, we are with a buy. Now, when we are with a buy, our intention is that the value will always increase. The more it increases, the more we're going to make profits. If it decreases, we're going to have losses. Now, if this would have been a sell scenario, this would have been the other way around. Now, since we are with this buy type and we've got support and resistance, we can look at this chart as if this would have been some kind of a room. Okay, this would have been a room. 75, the resistance will be the ceiling. 58 would be the floor, will be the support. So resistance is resisting us from going any higher. Support is supporting us from falling further down. Now, I can match the levels to the levels that are here. So we've got 64.75, which is in here. And we can switch to 1 hour to see the levels a bit easier. And there we are. And we've got another one at 64.40, which is here, almost. Okay, we'll fix it. Again, what I'm showing you now is because this is a webinar, guys. You don't have to do this. You can use the signal as I showed within 10 seconds. But this, what I'm showing you now, is if you by yourself would like to enhance the analysis that was done here automatically for you. So placing those lines is not a necessary action. We've got another one, 63.05. Okay, and we've got 62.50. 62.50 is in here. Okay, there is a question here. How far should the stop loss be from the entry point? Thank you. We will get to that, but not at the moment because we're still explaining about the signals. Will there be a link for the recording? The answer is yes, on our YouTube channel. On our YouTube channel, I see the questions, guys. I'm just getting to that. Okay, now, when we're looking at the chart, we see that now the levels match and we can do our analysis. Excellent. Again, we don't have to do this. Let's just click buy. Okay, and we already see that the take profit and stop loss are located based on the support and resistance. Meaning that at the moment, if we're looking at the stop loss and the take profit, what will happen is if it gets to those levels, the market will close automatically. For take profit, it will close it automatically with a profit. For stop loss, it will close it automatically with a loss. And now we can even see at what levels it will stop. So we've got market execution, which is executing now, buying or selling, market execution. And we've got pending orders, which are take profit and stop loss. Stops the position automatically with a loss. And what take profit does is it stops the position automatically with a profit. Super simple. And this is why we now, if we click here on buy, we have those pending orders to execute to close the position for us. Okay, so 64 is where we've got the green line. If it gets to the green line, we're gonna make $50. Take profit stops it automatically with a profit. Stop loss is closing the position automatically with a loss. So we're gonna paint this guy in red. Yeah, and we're gonna raise it to 63.05. Great. And there we are, guys. If it gets to the red line, we're going to lose 85. If it gets to the green line, we're going to make 50. Again, I'm not getting into if this is a good place or not. I'm just demonstrating you guys how to use the signals. We'll speak about the decision later on. Rowena, which best to choose 1 day, 1 minute, or 1 hour? Thank you for the question. Just like I told the others, please remind me in 5 minutes after I'm done with this segment so we get to the practical part, and then you can ask your questions and I'm happy to answer. Regarding the signals, as we saw, it's super simple to use. Sometimes we're going to have signals that looks like FTSE, and if we click in here on view signal, and we're going to try to use it the same way we did with Brent oil, it's not going to allow us. And the reason is, as you can see, the analysis that was done in here was based on certain levels that the market can get to, take profit and stop loss, which are based on support and resistance. But now we don't have those. So again, if we click on view signal, we don't have any take profit and stop loss. Therefore, we're not able to use this signal because the market has already reached a key level. At the moment, if we're looking at the scenario that was described in here, we see that it's passed and the signal is futile. So even if we click here on buy to try and use the signal, it's not going to allow us to have the to use it. Okay, doesn't matter if it's a sell or a buy. Let's try sell just for fun. Again, it's not available. I know a very common question is, okay, so when FTSE will have a signal again? We don't know that. Nobody can know that. We can only come back to the refresh to the signal section, refresh, and maybe see it again. Okay, so this is what the signal that looks like this means. It's also important to know that the signals are produced by the Trading Central and not AvaTrade. Furthermore, what we saw now, guys, is called technical analysis. Technical analysis is part of two analysis types that we have. The first one is technical analysis. The second one is fundamental analysis. So technical analysis and fundamental analysis. Great. What are the differences? Technical analysis will be averages, numbers, statistics, and fundamental analysis will be news, articles, reports, decisions, and so on. Okay, in other words, in here we've got the how things are moving, in here we've got the why things are moving. And that's important that those things will be together and not just technical or fundamentals. So we saw the signals, amazing. We've got technical analysis, okay. What about the news and what's happening behind the scenes? So in here we've got the news section, and in the news section we've got all kind of categories that we can choose from. So if we go for commodities as an example, we see the pre-European market brief, the NZD USD, steady in RBNZ, cuts rates as expected. Excellent. And if we scroll down and we see at the bottom which instruments are related to that. Okay, we can click in here and see oil, gold, Bitcoin, and Aussie versus dollar. Just amazing, very convenient, provided to us again by the Trading Central. One of my favorite features that I like to use in here that I'm also going to show you is in here in the Discovery tab. And at the bottom of the list, almost at the bottom of the list, is the economy calendar. But let me show you first the market buzz. And in the market buzz, what we can do is we can see those sort of bubbly circles we've got in here. It can also be displayed as a list if we click on the table, so we can, change how it looks like. But I think this way it's kind of interesting. So we can choose just one of the stocks in here. We can filter to different things, commodities and cryptos and other things as well. But let's stay with stocks at the moment. And if we click on NVIDIA, I usually take the biggest, but maybe now NVIDIA. And if we see, we click on NVIDIA, we see here to the right all kind of various articles that we can go through and understand a bit better how to analyze NVIDIA. Okay, so we've got here earning announcements, earning above expectations, target price, earning estimation set, and revenue increase. Let's suppose I don't want to go through all of that, just focus on the earning announcements. Then I click in here and I'm filtered with only specifically articles related to that. And now I can read and see other parameters in here, price may rise and so on. And I can easily go back and see another stock if I would want to. This is again provided by the Trading Central. Here at the bottom in Discovery, we've got also the economy calendar, which is extremely useful if you want to get familiar with more governmental decisions. We see that some things here are selected. So to clean the selection very easily, we can click here on Reset and we are back in default. And we see that we are on the 28th, but what if we want to see another week? So we're going to click here on the 28th, click on the arrow to go forward, click on the 4th, which is next Wednesday. And once we have this blue trail around on our dates, we know that they are selected. And we can see all kind of various things which are not necessarily related to what is in our portfolio. What if we want to focus only on the Aussie, only on the pound, and only, let's keep it like this. So if we look at the things that we selected, we see that there is this red line that separates the upper part from the articles below. And we also notice that the font and the color of this segment is a bit grayer than here, right? It's a bit more brighter white. And we also see that the results is in here. So the way that it's constructed is we've got the previous result, we've got the anticipated result range, and we've got the actual result. We're not going to have any result on events that didn't happen yet. This is why we understand it from the red line upward are things that already happened. Okay, and at the bottom, we've got things yet to come. So we can also filter this. Instead of looking at the low, medium, and high, we can maybe filter only the high. Excellent. And then we see only the high impact events. There are some icons here to the right. In here, we've got the impact, we've got volatility, price chart, event chart, and lastly, add to calendar. Now, this is a dreamy button that I'm not even sure people understand how great it is. Why is that so great? Because this allows me to book the event onto my calendar on my phone to let me know when the event is. And then I can specifically watch the result, go to the market, conveniently analyze what I want. Okay, depending on which calendar you're using, I like it very much. All right, let's carry on with ease to the second segment. I know that you guys been waiting for the practical part, and that's excellent. Let's click here on AvaTrade to go back to the default screen, and maybe select one of the Okay, so there are two ways to select the instrument you want to trade. One is manually through the lists, or in here through the search bar. So we can pick maybe one of the indices. Let's have a look at one of the indices. I'm going to give it a moment for the data to load, maybe a little bit of encouragement. Okay, there we go, there we go. Let's see how the CAC is looking. Okay, there's a nice gap in here, but okay, so this is one way. As you saw, I selected from the list, but we can also search. And I think Brent oil, maybe we'll have a look at crude oil. Let's look at crude oil, see, ooh, that's very nice. Okay, so we're looking at 1 hour. We've already learned from the signal section, we can change that. So we're gonna click here on the 1H. We're gonna scroll down, select again 1 day. Okay, 1 day, there we go. And that is a very, very interesting image, but I also want to see weeks just for a moment. And that is great. Let's stay with that. Let's stay with that. Okay, so we're going to begin here going to the right, and I'm going to answer all your questions about the stop loss and about the other questions that you guys ask here about 1 minute, 1 hour. Okay, we're gonna get to all of that. So to go into the right, we have here the different time frames. We already know that. If we click in here, we see, let me switch to 1 day just to demonstrate a few things. Okay, so if I'm gonna switch from the candles to the line, we're gonna notice that some of the indication we've got in here on the chart. Okay, you can pay attention to where I've placed the rectangle. Okay, so we've got in here, in here, and in here. And if I'm going to change it to from candles to line, they're not there yet. They're not there anymore. Okay, that is because candles are giving us better depths of analysis than the line. There is a question from Fishun. After copying another social, do I need to close the position that I copy myself? Okay, because all the physicians, yes, Pishun, whatever you opening by your own, you need to close it by yourself. And whatever was opened automatically will be closed automatically as well. Okay, that is the way that it goes. You can again modify your selection on the app, but that's basically how it works. Okay, now it's important to understand that with the candlesticks, with the candlesticks we get better beta because we can see the tails here, which we don't have with the line. And if we keep going to the right, we have here the crosshair. At the moment, if we point on the chart, we notice that there is no data, there is no numbers coming from the candles. So it's difficult to do any analysis. We're going to click here on the arrow, click again on the crosshair, and now we do get the numbers. Excellent. If we keep going to the right, we have here different time frames. So if I would want to see the Brent oil and crude oil simultaneously, we can have crude oil and Brent oil and crude oil, which is amazing. We're going to stick with one at the moment. If I keep going to the right, we have indicators and we have this tiny arrow with all kind of useful things we can place on the chart. If I click on buy or sell, it allows us to open the order entry. And now we're going to select the lot size, set it to 0.01, and we can get to work. So we're going to switch back to weeks. We're going to click on the column price to squeeze the chart down to make it a bit more maybe like this, a bit more convenient. Okay, and with this in mind, we're gonna also place some lines in support and resistance. We already learned that from the signal section, right? If we'll have spare time at the end, I'm gonna teach you guys how to also do it. Okay, excellent. Now, if we're looking at crude oil and we're thinking that crude oil at the moment is quite in the middle, I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. And for that, we're going to have one in here, and we're going to have one in here. Yeah, make it down a bit. There we go. Okay, so this is the price that oil has been running through in the past month and a half, right? The white area. Let's make it maybe green. Thinking of a buy, I'm not exactly sure about that, but we're going to see in a moment. There is a question from Shema Saracel. Is there a minimum and maximum price for stop loss and take profit? Absolutely yes. We're going to see here. A demonstration of that. So what we see here is you can see that the white area is roughly where crude oil has been in the past few weeks. I can say month. I can say month. Okay, and now I have a reason to believe that crude oil is heading down. Actually, I think that crude oil is heading down. So let's switch this to a sell. And as I've explained, with a sell, we want the value to decrease. So with this in mind, we're going to just quickly show you why I think that the general idea here is down. Okay, maybe use a funnel. I think this will emphasize. It will convey the message a bit better. There we go. Okay, so I have a reason to believe it's heading down. And with this in mind, I do have a price that I need to aim for, not just generally selling. Because if I sell like this, where will I stop the position, right? So at the moment, with crude oil in mind, let's be a bit more organized. So we've got crude oil, we've got a sell in mind, and at the moment, we're going to set certain things that will help us construct the position with a bit more sense. Okay, all right, and we've got let's see where we've marked. Okay, so this line over here will be our resistance, our support, and the line at the top will be the resistance. So we've got this one will be resistance, this one is resistance, okay, and the other ones are support. So we've got this one, yeah, and another one that will be in the middle, which is 59. Great. Okay, this one is in red as well. Excellento. Now, which price? Let's suppose that I target 55. Let's suppose that 55 is a price that I would like to target. Okay, excellent. And I would like to close the position at 55 and open it in here. As I've explained you guys, there are 3 pending orders. Okay, so we've got take profit, we've got stop loss, and we've got execute when price hits, which gives us the ability pending buy or sell. People who are trading MT4 and MT5 are familiar with this as buy limit or sell limit, or buy stop or sell stop. And at the moment, we're going to bound our entry to be 61.5 because we want to enter at 61.5. Okay, and our take profit, let's simulate it to be 55 based on the support, and based on the resistance, 66.26 will be our, maybe we'll make it a flat 50. Okay, and this guy is moving as well. Flatten that out. There we go. And we've got this as well. So from the entry, we've got how far away are we? We're going to measure that now. And we will see that from our entry onto the take profit and the stop loss, we've got this one is $6.50 away per barrel since we're trading oil, and 61 to 66.5 is 5. Okay, all right. Now we've got this. We're going to replace it with the 5. Excellent. So in this case, we're seeing that we're $5 away from our entry and $6.50 away from our take profit. Now, how does this help us? Now, let's see if this is really 55 is really a good price to close the position. Okay, so we're going to click here on the take profit. We're going to click here on the stop loss. We're going to set the numbers that we wrote down. So again, 55 and 66.5. There is a question from Joshua. Why the take profit is lower? Okay, so Joshua, as I've explained in the beginning, since we are selling, and when we are selling, our intention is that the value will decrease. Therefore, the take profit has to be lower. Okay, if this would have been a buy, it would be the other way around. You can notice that the entry is 61.5 and the take profit is lower, but the stop loss is higher. Yeah, that's the logic we're using in here. I hope it helps. Excellent, excellent. I'm happy that it makes sense. Okay, and now with this in mind, we would like to check if 55 is really a good price to aim for. So we see that in here, we see that it turned around, crude oil turned around. That was 7th of April. Okay, and we see that it's been more than a month and a half since then. Okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to apply an indicator that will allow us to assess what is the average per day. We can either do that or we can look at the candles and check their differences to do manual check. Instead, we're going to click on type to filter, put down AVE, click on ATR, average true range, and drag it to the right. Now we can select how many candles we want to go back and to withdraw an average from. Therefore, since we're looking at weeks, as you can see, 1W or W1 for weeks, and the length here is 14, that's going to display to us an average based on 14 weeks. Okay, maybe it's too far away. Maybe we just want to look at 6 weeks, okay, a month and a half. Click here on save, and then we see that the average per day is 4.39. Now, if I will extend it as an example to 7, we can see that the average is changing to 4.4. Okay, so 4.4 is the average per movement, per week. Average movement per week is 4.4475. Okay, based on 7 weeks. Okay, great, great, great. Now, this is our average, okay, and we're aiming for $5 and $6.50 away. So how far are we? Are we in the range or it's a bit more than the range? What do you think, guys? Great, Neil, great. So Neil, you wrote down it's a bit more than the range. Exactly, so it's more than the range. So if I'm looking at the range, which is 4.4, and we are looking at $6.50 and $5 away, we can assume that the time this will happen will be 1 to even 2 weeks, right? Because we're aiming for higher than the range, okay? Now, If we're looking at 6.5 and 5, I think 5 is quite close. So we're going to make the take profit $5 as well. And we're going to flatten that out to be 56.5. Okay, so we'll make it 56.5. Okay, we're going to add, there we go. And now we're going to look at the numbers, see how it looks like. This is what we're looking for. Yeah. And this one will be excellent. So the lines we're drawing come from, yes, unfortunately, this is not something that I can teach too much into depths, but the logic here with the lines that I've placed is basically support and resistance. So if you pay attention to the oval that I'm placing on the chart at the moment, you will notice that those are basically peak points on the chart that crude oil has gotten to, right? 1, 2, 3. Basically, that's the idea here. And we validated this with the average true range. And now we know that the average is 4.4, and we're looking for $5 away from our entry, which now kind of makes sense since we validated this with an indicator. So actual expected movement is 5. Excellent. Now the issue is I'm not really happy making $50. I want to make much more than that. Maybe 500 seems better. So what do I need to do? Since I'm with 0.01 and I'm making 50, right? And let's say that the target is 500. Okay. Now we've got the ATR, right? ATR equals, and now we are looking for the units. Okay, we're looking for how many barrels we need. So if we make $50 with 10 barrels and $5 per barrel, we can understand that if we're going to do target divided by movements, we get the units. Okay, so we can divide a 500 by 5, and then how many units we need. Let's see who is good in math. Mr. Zamani, there is a question. Shall I wait for the position to reach take profit, or I should close as soon as I get some profit? Then the signal. Well, this is your decision, of course, but the way that I constructed here, the 4 ingredients, target, time, movements, and units, helps you simplify what you should do or not. Exactly, Neil. Good job. Good job. Also, Piatek. Very nice. Very nice. So for all the people who wrote 100, you're absolutely right. The answer is indeed 100. And now if we're going to look at the numbers, we're going to see that everything makes pure sense. And now we can either make or lose 500 exactly. But since naturally I would want to diversify and to have additional positions, I'm not going to have only this position on my account. I have to look at the ratio in here and I might want to fix it. But before I do that, if there are any questions, please guys fire away, because I'm leveling up just a little bit, because I want to make it very useful for you. If there are any questions, please fire away. No, David, the 500 here is just my personal, it's just an example. It's just an example. This could work the same way with 5,000 or whatever amount you want. This is procedural, so the numbers here can change, but you can enjoy the process. There is no specific reason that I choose 500. All right. Now, if we're looking at the numbers, but thank you for the question. Now, if I'm looking at the numbers here and I'm looking at the ratio of 1 to 1, Now, a ratio of 1 to 1 can be great, but let's suppose I would like to have a better ratio as an example. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will aim for a lower percentage. Maybe since 500 is 5% of my balance, and I don't want to be exposed five position to be exposed 5% in a position, right? 500, 5% of 10,000, right? And in here, that's going to be the same, okay? But what if I want this to be, let's say 1% or 125 as an example, okay? So $125. Anyone has any idea how can I maintain my profits but still keep the reduce the loss? Anyone has any idea? Shouldn't we not minimize possible loss in here? Exactly. So people with experience notice right away that this is a ratio of 1 to 1, and I'm very, very happy that it happened because it showed me that you understand. Trading is one way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So right now, if we're looking at the numbers and we would like to modify our take profit in our ratio between profit to loss, and we would like to have this 5% maintained, and we would like the 125 to be our new exposure. So how can we do it? Well, a very easy way to know the percentage of your account is to go possible loss divided by balance equals factor, and then factor times 100 gives us the exposure percentage. Okay, and now if we're looking at the numbers, we're going to see that if we will divide 500 by 10,000, that comes down to 0.05, and times 100, that gives us 5, right? That means we know that 500 is 5% of 10,000. Okay, great. Now, if we would like to modify this to be 125, right? That means that this, I'm going to move the decimal. Okay, we'll do it with a calculator so you guys can also see what I'm doing. 125 divided by 10,000. Okay, great. So we've got this divided by 10,000, that gives us 0.0125 times 100. Excellent. Now, with this in mind, if we will reduce the lot size, obviously our profit will be reduced as well. So if we'll try that, let's reduce this by half. Look what happened. Oh, look what happened. Now we're making less. It's true, we are exposed much less, but we're also making less profit, which is not the point in here. So if I would like to maintain this 500, what I can do is I can get the stop loss closer to my entry, and with my profit closer to the entry, we can actually minimize the loss. So we're going to take the 66.5, we're going to push it down to maybe a quarter of the actual difference that we're looking for. That means if we're looking at 5% for 500, we can divide the difference we're looking for, which is 5, by 4. And if instead of being $5 away, we're only $1.50 or $1.25 away, let me just quickly show you that. So our entry is 61.50, right? 61.50 is our entry, and we would like to add 125. So this is our new stop loss. Okay, And with this new stop loss, we can see that the possible loss is almost 125. And we're now looking at 125%, not bad at all. And if we will diversify and have additional positions, let's suppose we're going to maintain the same ratio, but we're looking at additional positions. What we will be looking at is 500 and 125. Okay, you do the math, you can see that it might be more comfortable moving forward depending on the strategy. Question from Sema, assuming you have $10,000 to start with, but you're not sure of your skills to trade with AvaTrade, can AvaTrade connect you with a trader to help? Yes, of course. As I have explained, you can get personal assistance from your senior account manager through the whole process. This is why what I wrote in the beginning, Mr. Shama. There is a question here from Maretio. Can I get a copy of this presentation? Unfortunately, no. The presentation is not giving you anything. What you really need is the webinar. And to watch the webinar again, all you got to do is just to go to our YouTube channel. Okay, so to recap what was done here, okay, all the fun things we have here on the chart. Initially, we began with just looking at oil. Second thing that we did was placing those lines on support and resistance. And then we looked at the general trend. We thought that 56 might be a good price to target to stop the position. To validate this, we added average true range, which was set to 7 weeks. How so? Because as I have explained, the indicator is referenced from what's displayed on the chart. So, yes. As I have explained, Tracy, the senior account manager is an individual who is assigned on your profile to give you full support through the process. He's also the person who you can ask for assistance, analysis, and all the rest of whatever else you need. What URL? I wish I knew. I don't know the URL of our YouTube channel, but I'm sure that if you will go to YouTube and you will search AvaTrade, you're gonna find it. But AvaTrade, guys, AvaTrade, just like this. Okay, super simple. And as we saw, the indicator helped us validate the prices that we located on the chart to confirm them. And once we have the average movement, we've compared it with the levels that we choose. And we noticed that the level that we choose initially was a bit farther away. It was $6 away, $6.50 away, and it's not exactly in the range. So for that to happen in a week, maybe a bit more, who knows, maybe a week up to 2 weeks. Still, personally, I'm going to be happy making 500 per week or 2 weeks solely from this position. After we done confirming the levels, we also looked at increasing our lot size. Let me remind you guys that even with the initial numbers, we were still looking at making $50, as this was like this, right, in the beginning. And when we started moving, we saw that if we make $50 for 10 barrels, to make 500, we have to expand our lot size, extend and expand and expand. And this way it makes more sense and we can get the numbers that we want. There is a question, is using leverage best idea start trading? You don't really have a lot of choice here, but I'm going to show you in the next minute how the leverage works. The price per barrel of oil is 61.5. We would like to acquire 100 units. Therefore, that number of units is 100. We have a leverage of 1 to 10 that actually multiplies buying and selling. And that means that we have the ability of 10 times more than our actual balance. Now, if we go price per unit times number of units, we get the value, which is already displayed automatically right here. And if we divide the value by the leverage, we get the margin impact, which is the necessary amount to open a position. Okay, so if we'll go 6,147 divided by the leverage, we do get 614, which is already displayed in here. Okay, I want you guys to know that using this interface allows you to get all the numbers that I showed you now automatically. Automatically, you don't have to do those calculations if you're using the web trader. Keep in mind that if you're using you're using MT4 or MT5, you can find those calculations useful. Unfortunately, guys, we are out of time for today. I know that the last bit was a bit intense, I understand, but again, I want to give you as much as useful, practical content as I can. So we have to walk a bit faster sometimes. Still, you can enjoy the recording in our YouTube channel. I hope that you find this webinar helpful. We're going to see you. You can join us tomorrow with a live Q&A to join us and ask your questions live, see the answers on the screen. Until then, I wish you all best of luck with trading. Have a fruitful week and have a good day.